Hello friends, and welcome back to episode 4 already of our Africa Overland adventure. This week we leave behind the mountains of Lesotho and drive towards Namibia, where we begin our desert adventures with a visit to the world's second largest canyon. But first we spend time on a Namibian farm, where we meet animals of all shapes, numbers and sizes. This is a wild week in the life of the Newbys on the road in Africa. We are the Newbys, a family of travel adventurers on a mission to make our minutes and seconds matter. I'm Tara, born and raised in Africa and obsessed with wild things and wild places. This is John. He's lived a life on the road and has visited 163 countries. And this is our son Crusoe, who has ambitions to get to 100 countries before he goes to school. He's going to need our help with that, so hit that subscribe button and join us every Sunday as we discover our extraordinary world as a family, teaching us all to be brave, think big, and to explore. It is time to say goodbye to Lesotho. And this border post is a far cry from the peace and wilderness which we entered through at the Sani Path. African border posts are not the best places on the planet.
No, they're not. But this one looks like it's going to be fairly straightforward. We were talking to a dude back there who said that border posts are pretty quiet at the moment because nobody wants to pay a PCR test.
Meters, your destination will be on the left.
So every time we go through a border in Africa at the moment, we need a PCR test, and they have to be taken within 72 hours of departure. Now, we had one 72 hours ago to get into Lesotho, and we're really hoping that the same one is going to get us back into South Africa because we are just within the window of those 72 hours. So this is a very typical African border post circumstance. I have just been yelled at by some dude in blue trousers, which is just unpleasant. He then looks like he's proceeded to yell at John, and John's had to go and print off our PCR tests. And so here Crusoe and I sit, chewing on a monkey, waiting for John to reappear from God knows where he's had to go and print our PCR tests. And I've just spied my friend in the blue trousers. Nasty piece of work.
Head northeast, then turn left.
Okay, so we're through the border.
Gnarly, man. I have done some really tricky border crossings in the past, but that one's right up there with just damn annoying.
They were a bunch of ladies on the Lesotho side who were on a massive power trip and just wanted a bribe, which was just frustrating.
Yeah.
And the whole basis for it was the fact that our COVID tests were not printed.
So I don't mind a lady on a power trip, but what I do mind is having to pay a bribe. I really hate paying a bribe. We've done absolutely nothing wrong.
Yeah, we had everything we needed.
We had everything we needed, and you know.
We paid a small bribe, which is frustrating.
Actually, it's not a small
bribe. Well,
15 quid.
15 quid.
It is a lot of money in Lesotho, so it's outrageous. And
well, they looked delighted when he walked in. I'd got it down from 50 quid. So anyway, the South African side couldn't have been lovelier, couldn't have been more friendly. Anyway, we're back in South Africa and on our way to Namibia.
Yeah.
With the frustration and chaos of the Lesotho border far behind us, it was time to put our foot down and head for our next border crossing into Namibia on a long drive of straight, seemingly endless roads through northwestern South Africa. Good morning, folks.
Good morning, everyone. We are in a small town called Uppington.
We're also in matching shirts, I just noticed.
Oh, no, mine's slightly lighter. We're never doing that. We'll leave that to the Finns, I think.
Oh dear. Anyway, we are gearing up to cross the border into Namibia this morning, which is so exciting. We've got about a 4.5 hour drive. First things first, we're going to stop off at a supermarket in South Africa just to get a few bits for the van.
Come on, Crusoe, let's go. Look at that, Crusoe, you got your own seat. Off we go. So what we're looking for are canned goods because we don't really want to go across the Namibian border with lots of fresh fruit and vegetables and meat.
They may take it off us, which would be a real shame because it would be a waste of money.
Darling, I think we need these. These. I think we need these.
Rose, what are those? Why are they green? No.
Never mind. Put them back then. Mama balls. Mrs. Balls. Okay, let's go search for some Mrs. Balls. Well, it's expensive, eh?
How much?
32. How much is that?
Pound. No, not that one. What's that like? Normal one.
We want the normal one. Original chutney. It says blatter jang on it. Original recipe chutney, blatter jang.
You're telling that. That's the Afrikaans version. Look, you see? Oorspronkelijke recipe means original recipe. Platter jang is chutney.
Okay. Scary.
What have you found? Pringles.
It just cost us 50 quid.
We shouldn't need to do much more shopping, darling, except for fresh stuff, so...
Okay, that's good. N10, Namibian border.
Yes. Let's go, team.
This is basically just a straight road to Namibia now. Off we go.
Off we go. Because look at that badger.
Straight.
Namibia, here we come. That's an amazing nest. Wowzers, it's like a city of weavers' nests. We've seen a lot of these nests on our drive through this region of South Africa. They are sociable weavers' nests and they are quite incredible. I don't think they can be very good for the phone lines, but...
How many birds live in each one of those?
Well, I'm glad you asked, darling, because in those nests can be as few as 10 birds, but up to 500 birds.
What?
Yeah, and they can reach the heights of up to 4 meters. It's basically like a bird apartment block. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it is.
Really, really cool. I just had to stop quickly to get a closer look at these nests. I mean, they are just amazing. Check this out. We are about 1 kilometer away from customs. I see a queue of lorries. Let's hope this border experience is a bit nicer than the last one we had.
Yeah, let's hope so. So Tara is still inside getting the passport stamped. It's taken quite a long time so far. I'd say we've been here for about an hour, filled out quite a lot of forms, answered a bunch of questions. I think the confusion is that we're here on holiday. I don't know, but people are saying, you're here on holiday. Yes, we're here on holiday. Okay, so I think there's some confusion with that. Anyway, it looks like everything's going just fine. Crusoe and I have come back to the car just to hang out. He's practicing his driving a little bit, and I'm just, you know, getting away from form filling and silly questions. Very important, silly questions.
We are all good.
All good, eh?
Yep.
Right, let's go to Namibia.
Let's go to Namibia.
So this will be Crusoe's country number
19.
90. We are heading towards a place called
Goeibib Mountain Lodge.
Goeibib Mountain Lodge. It's going to cost us about $20 to camp there for the night. And this is a place that really is going to satisfy the newbie curiosity.
There is a working Namibian farm where they are farming cattle in probably one of the most seemingly inhospitable places. It is incredibly arid around these parts of Namibia, and when you're driving down these roads, it's quite hard to imagine what on earth they managed to achieve as farmers here. So we're really excited to get to know what's going on and to learn a little bit about what it's like to be a farmer in Namibia.
Yeah, something very different for newbies, especially since we are plant-based and going to a working cattle farm that obviously produces meat.
Excited.
Yeah, it'll be an eye-opener.
It will. Interesting.
Goeibib Mountain Lodge is owned and run by Andre, and we set off with him one afternoon to have a look around the farm and to learn a little bit more about how he's turning his patch of Namibia into something of a paradise. As we drove through the incredibly beautiful landscapes, we were impressed at Andre's passion and knowledge of how the impact of the cattle on the land could be positive and how they could contribute to the preservation and well-being of all of the vegetation and wildlife that calls his farm home.
So you've got special cattle on this farm, Andre?
They come from Europe originally, probably 2,000-3,000 years ago, and they've migrated down into Africa with African tribesmen, which is why they call them Nguni cattle, named after the Nguni tribesmen that actually brought them down into southern Africa. And what we are trying to do is use the inherent strengths of that cattle breed of survival. So all the cattle that we farm with come from various bloodlines of Nguni types, and we are trying to find the best features in the cattle so that we can actually use the cattle as a beef species, providing a range-fed beef, grass-fed animal, and at the same time give the eater of beef exactly what they want.
Andre's cows are a little more than just a tasty morsel. We were so impressed to learn about how Andre is working with his cattle to improve the entire ecosystem on his farm, which is especially important as Namibia recovers from 8 years of drought. These prized cattle are fed nothing beyond what they find on the farm. They're basically as free range gets, and Andre was deservedly proud to share that he's used one small bottle of antibiotic on the entire 350 head strong herd in 2 whole years. There's lots of reasons we don't eat meat, and the use of medicines in feed is one of them, so this was music even to our plant-based ears. What this all means is that the cattle's presence on the land is gentle. Their hooves are breaking up the soil to make it more pervious to the precious rain that falls, and their dung being buried by dung beetles is fertilizing the soil without adding nasty chemicals or unnatural feed elements to the system. As our learning came to a close, Andre was keen to let us know that some of his herd live long and happy lives, and his attachment and care for each individual was clear in his naming of them, and in the way he stopped to have a chat to some of his favourite characters as we made our way around the farm.
These animals live quite long. Some of my cows are already 16 years old and they are still breeding. The Phantom is 11 years old. Young Vic, he's still an apprentice, he's 3 years old. But he will eventually take over here when the Phantom's done. You know, I don't know. My other bull down the road is 12 years old. There's a bull I've sold to South Africa who's now 14 years old, still breeding.
So just got back from our drive around Andre's farm, and wow, what an eye-opener, a real insight into how Namibian farmers work and how they live, and something completely different from what we would normally do as a family, especially being plant-based. Behind me we've got the moonrise going on and the glow of the red Namibian mountains, and tomorrow morning we're going to be jumping in the van and heading down towards Fish River Canyon. I can't wait.
And so, real Namibia starts now.
Real Namibia, look. So a lot of the Namibian roads are dusty gravel roads like this. We've got 100 kilometers there or thereabouts to drive along this road down towards Fish River Canyon. Should be able to keep up a fairly decent speed though. I'll be looking at around about 80 kilometers an hour rather than the 120 on that asphalt road. And at points it may get a little bit bumpy.
So we are going to take it easy and just be sensible on these roads, because of course we don't want to be in an accident. More crickets. Nice crickets all about.
There are crickets on the floor.
Sean's going to get out and film them. I can't quite stomach the idea of millions of crickets hopping towards me.
There are literally millions of them. The floor is like a sea.
Good luck.
Yeah. Let's go. That's mental. You can feel them jumping all over your feet, and they got in my shirt and all sorts. Anyway, as I'm driving along this road and we're going through these huge patches of crickets, there is a concern that I'm just basically wiping out the lives of hundreds and thousands of crickets. But I've just driven through there and there isn't a single dead cricket. So it looks like they're very, very good at hopping out of the way before the car tyres get to them, which is good news and makes me feel a whole lot better about driving through the crickets. They're everywhere. Jump back in the van now and carry on to Fish River. Just arrived at Roadhouse.
Canyon Roadhouse. Having cool relics. That guy. That's so cool. Look at that. That's a parking lot made out of solar panels. So it should be.
So the canyon is about 20 minutes away from here.
Permits for 24 hours. So if we nip out to the canyon this afternoon, we can go again tomorrow morning.
Okay, so canyon, the sun is setting into the canyon.
Cool.
So maybe we go for a sundowner there.
Yeah, sounds great.
Cool.
Let's go check out the campsite and the pool, shall we?
Yeah.
Find a place to get set up for the afternoon.
Yeah.
The Canyon Roadhouse was such a fun place to pull into. Full of quirk and collectibles, there was such a wonderful atmosphere, and we were so impressed at how well it had been maintained, despite the lack of tourism for the past 2 years. It's obvious that it's a place that is loved very much. After an afternoon of easy living, the canyon was calling.
The first time I came down this road was 22 years ago. Time passed.
I've just asked John if I'm going to have my socks blown off when we see this canyon, because if I'm honest, it's been probably one of the most uninspiring drives into a place I've ever been on. It's just this really flat, featureless landscape with lots of broken rock and the odd tufty bush, quite a few tufty bushes.
I wouldn't say flat. The corrugations in the road are
Yeah, and a
certainly
really
making up for it.
dreadful corrugated road.
Yeah.
But the Fish River Canyon is the second biggest canyon in the world. And in some places, it's almost 550 metres deep.
And it's right up ahead in front of you.
Right up ahead.
It's literally 50 metres away, 100
Okay.
metres away.
Oh, I'm getting excited. Let's go have a look. Okay, up ahead we have a viewpoint. Get out of town.
So the thing about Fish River Canyon is that there isn't actually all that much to do here except for have a look and come and have sundowners and watch one of the world's most magnificent sunsets. If you come here between April and September, then you can walk down into the canyon and have a hike. I think it's 4 or 5 days long, but it's recommended and actually prohibited to go down there right now while we're here. And the reason for that, I can only assume, is that it's just blooming hot down there, so it's quite dangerous. So we are consigned to opening our bottle of beers and enjoying a epic sunset.
Well, it certainly feels like the adventure is definitely underway now. We're settling into life on the road on a different continent, living small and taking it slow and soaking up every precious moment.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, little man.
We've got so much to look forward to, and next up for us is a ghost town deep in the desert where people once found fortune in the form of diamonds. Please remember to subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on those notifications so that you don't miss an episode from our epic African adventure. Thanks for being here, folks. It means the world to us, and we will see you next week.